This is KM Wyland, and you're listening to the 313th episode of the Helping Writers Become Authors podcast. Okay, so I'm going to crow a little bit more about the awesome writer-centric word processor Scrivener again today. One of the nifty little things I really love about it is the full-screen compose mode, which is great for blocking out distractions. It covers up all of my outline and scene notes, as well as general computer distractions such as Skype, my browser, even the clock in the corner. But I am shallower than that. I admit my favorite part of full screen mode is the fact that you get to choose your background image. The bad part of this, of course, is that sometimes I waste a little more time than I should in choosing just the right image. But the awesome part is that this makes it super easy and fun to create just the right mood atmosphere for whatever scene I'm working on. For a long time, this feature wasn't available for the PC version, but it's great now that the PC version has finally caught up with the Mac version. If you already own Scrivener, you can access the background images in the View tab. Look for full screen backdrop down at the bottom. The latest post in the video series on my blog is warning. Make this mistake and readers will hate your good protagonist. It offers tips and an example to help you avoid the pitfall of alienating readers from your protagonist by taking it for granted that they'll always think he's in the right. To find the post, visit my site at helpingwritersbecomeauthors.com. And now, I hope you enjoyed this week's podcast entitled 7 Ways to Keep Writing During NaNo When You Only Want to Watch Football. You're all geared up for National Novel Writing Month. You're excited, you're prepared. You did listen to last week's podcast in preparation, right? Your story is so ready to be written that it's practically exploding out of you. But then, November 1st rolls around and wow, how about that? Wouldn't you know, it would be a Sunday, and your football team just happens to be playing a mega important game. What do you do? Be a good nanoer and keep writing during NaNo, or be a good fan and steal 3 measly hours to watch your team crush the opposition. If you're listening to this podcast, you're probably resolving right here and now to be a better writer than you are a fan come November 1st, just like Buckeyes fan at AJTrain16 on Twitter, who asked that I write about how to recover when you get behind and how to write when you only want to watch football. And yeah, I have to admit that one of the reasons I decided to post on this subject was just because I really wanted to use that awesome title. As anyone who has been writing for more than 2 days knows, motivation is something writers struggle with the whole year through, not just during NaNo. The pressure, however, is more intense when you've committed to a public goal of 50,000 words in 30 days during football season, and Thanksgiving season, and Black Friday season, and whatever else that's shiny and interesting that crosses your path in November. That's why it's so important to approach this project and every other book you write during the rest of your life with a specific plan to squash procrastination urges and keep you writing during NaNo. How to keep writing is a question I'm asked frequently. And while there are no easy answers, there are at least 7 specific things I do to keep myself writing every single day. So, are you ready to implement them in your own writing life? Motivator number 1, shame. You'll feel terrible if you don't write. Let's start with the obvious one. It's also arguably the least healthy one, but let's face it, it is ridiculously effective. After all, if you were okay with not writing, this whole question of writing versus football wouldn't even be a question at all. It's the feelings of guilt and shame when we fail to live up to our personal commitments that scare us into wanting to be motivated. For better or worse, fear is pretty strong motivator. So, use it. When your attention starts drifting to the roar of the football crowd on the TV in the other room, take a moment to center yourself and deliberately focus on how you'll feel if you exchange your writing for the comfy couch and a bowl of salsa. Is that feeling really worth the brief release of tension you'll feel in freeing yourself from your writing and the temporary pleasures of a good game? Only you can answer that question, and don't take the answer for granted. But if you know you're going to be angry with yourself after the game, use that feeling to keep you doing what you're supposed to be doing, writing. Motivation number 2, satisfaction. You'll feel great if you do write. At the same time as you're deliberately exploring how bad you'll feel if you don't write, consciously embrace how good it will feel when you do. Think about applying yourself diligently to your goals, resisting the temptation for instant self-gratification, and powering through to the end of a difficult job. When does that ever not feel good? Is the temporary distraction of a football game or whatever really going to feel better than that? But there's more. This positive effect only compounds with time. As great as a one-time resistance to being a lazy bum feels, imagine the personal rewards when you have not just one day's writing victory under your belt, but 2 in a row, a whole week, a whole month, a whole book. You'll probably forget who won that game in less than a year, but you'll never lose your satisfaction in the writing you've disciplined yourself to create. Motivator number 3, grit. Just do it. This is what motivation is all about. Sure, bit of a head game, as the previous 2 motivators prove, but ultimately motivation, or the lack thereof, is powerless in the face of actual action. You're a writer. You don't care that the football fan inside of you is sitting on his pom-poms pouting. You don't care that your fingertips are bleeding from all that ferocious typing. You don't care that your stomach is growling, your throat is parched, and you really have to go to the bathroom. There's no whining here, soldier. There's no dithering. There's no procrastinating. There's no, well, I just don't feel like writing today. Here, there's only grit, determination, and writing. Lots and lots of writing. 50,000 words of writing. Are you feeling pumped yet? Because I am, and the great part of this is that the more you exercise your gritted out muscle, the stronger it gets. Use it every day and you'll never have to worry about whether or not you're motivated. Motivator number 4, focus. Ignore the inconsequential. Staying focused is like walking a tightrope. You can't think about it too much and you definitely don't want to look down. One of my brain's annoying little tricks is trying over and over to check in and monitor my motivation level. It's like the cuckoo bird popping out of the clock house. Are you still motivated? Are you still motivated? Are you still motivated? Needless to say, this constant pulse checking is one of the quickest ways to bring conscious awareness to all the ways you're perhaps not motivated, and as a result, throw off your groove. So don't be OCD about your motivation or how you feel about your writing today. This extends to your physical surroundings as well. Resist the urge to make sure everything is perfect. That's the fast track to procrastination. I always have to resist my admittedly OCD tendencies. The background pic in Scrivener's full screen mode doesn't have to perfectly reflect the scene I'm writing. My desk doesn't have to be completely cleared of clutter. All the emails in my inbox don't have to be checked. Surrender the need for perfection, because it will only get in the way of your motivation. Motivator number 5, prioritize. Get your writing done first. Just as you're taking the initiative in using October to plan and outline your story, take the initiative every single day in lining up your daily priorities and composing your schedule. I often say schedules are my secret weapon. And this may be glib, but it's not a joke. If you don't take the time to anticipate each day's events to the best of your abilities and devise a plan of attack for navigating all of them in an effective way, then your writing is just as likely to end up on the bottom of the pile as it is the top. More likely, in fact. Prioritizing isn't just a matter of putting your writing on your schedule. It's a matter of choosing where to put it. For pretty much all of my writing life, I've scheduled my writing from 4 to 6 p.m. on the theory that I was saving the best for last. But as my schedule got more and more crammed, that writing time at the end of the day began getting encroached upon more and more. So this year, I started the habit of making writing the first thing I do when I sit down at the computer in the morning. And guess what? My writing sessions have been way more consistent and productive. But if you want to make certain your writing happens, do it first thing. That way, whatever else may collide with your day, at least your writing is already checked off the list. Motivator number 6, be proactive. Kill distractions. Some distractions you can't anticipate or avoid. Your kid throwing up all over his bed, a flat tire on the way to the grocery store, a driveway full of snow that has to be shoveled before work. But most of the distractions that interfere with your writing are things you can probably rattle off in a list right now. The internet, phone calls, household chores, interrupted family members. Because you can anticipate all of these things, you have it in your power to mitigate and even eliminate their effect. If at all possible, turn off the internet or work from a device with no connectivity or a NeoSmart or maybe even a good old pad of paper. Turn off your phone and put it in another room to keep you from checking messages. If there are household chores you can take care of the night before, like laundry, dirty dishes, etc., do them. If not, put them out of sight and out of mind until after you've finished your writing session. Ask family members and friends to respect the hours you've scheduled for your writing. Lock the door and put a sign on the handle if necessary. Save research questions for after writing so you don't get derailed looking for the answers. And go over what you'll be writing tomorrow so you can anticipate any inspirational images or research facts you'll need before then. In short, whenever possible, look ahead to tomorrow's writing session and do everything you can to eliminate the distractions you already know about. When it comes to the distractions you don't know about, you'll need to revert to motivator number 3, grit, and just power through them. Motivator number 7, bribery. Write first, watch football later. Nothing wrong with a good old-fashioned bribe. Who says you can't watch that football game? Promise yourself a reward, but only if you accomplish your writing goals first. If you think you won't be able to discipline yourself to withhold the reward if you fail in your goals, give the TV remote to someone else and make them promise to keep it out of reach until you've proven you deserve a little shouting at the TV in exchange for your hard work and discipline. Motivation is largely a mind game, and as such, it can be difficult to come up with concrete ways to manage it. But if you can enforce all 7 of these motivators in your writing life, they are guaranteed to spur you to keep writing during NaNo and beyond. Thank you for listening to the Wordplay Podcast. To read a transcript of this episode, you can visit my website at helpingwritersbecomeauthors.com. And be sure to check back again next week.